Recently, I've been pretty obsessed with these old Ghibli movie style things, like the way they made their trees, their grass, their skies, clouds, and stuff. So I was thinking if I could make this thing in a modern engine, such as Blender. I know a lot of people have done it, but honestly, I think as a beginner myself, taking an approach to make this was a bit too easy, and I was surprised by how easy it actually was. So let me just real quick walk you through the process of me just trying to put together a scene in 3D, which looks like sort of like the Ghibli movies things. You could get the idea. So yeah, let me just show you real quick. Okay, so after a bit of tweaking around, this is something that I came up with. This is a scene inspired from the old Ghibli movies, and I honestly love them. So, this is what I came up with. This is a scene with a plane that has the grass, and these other planes that has the initial clouds. So, first of all, you might be thinking that these are nothing more than just planes with cloud textures on top of them. Well, you'd be right, but it's just not the cloud textures. It's also a particular shader that allows these planes to be completely reactive and dynamic to its any kind of source light. For example, this is the sun, and if I'm moving it around, as you can see, it affects the clouds. It also gets affected by the color of the world. If I set it to white, you can see it looks a bit different. As you can see, it looks different. So yeah, that's how these work. So let me just break down the shader of the clouds. So for the clouds, it uses two different things. First off is the texture that gives the overall texture of it. And second off, it uses a normal material to get these lighting effects. So here's how it works. This is the texture coordinate node connected with the noise texture to simulate the noise. And then there's a mix between them. Then there's the normal map node, which connects with the normal map. And and here's the original cloud texture over here. And this is the normal map that I'm using. You can find these from Google. You can search for cloud texture PNGs and you can just come up with something like this on Google Images. And same goes for the normal map. Then I use that normal map and connect it to a diffuse BSDF that connects to a shaded to RGB and a color ramp, which creates this, sort of like dark edges and coloring effects, and which reacts to the light because of the normal materials. Here's the original cloud texture mixed with the shader and everything, and then there's the material output. Here's the entire material itself. So that's how it works. And as for the this particular grass, it's nothing more than just a image texture and a hue saturation node, which allows me to completely sometimes change the colors. It's just for a bit more flexibility. You can also just do this, and I think that will completely work just as well. But adding the hue saturation just allows me to tweak the colors a little bit. And for the grass, it's nothing more than just a particle system, which is using some basic settings and using the texture that's on the surface to project onto its grass. If you look underneath, as you can see, it's nothing more than a texture that can be found on Google, or you can also make this by using like Photoshop or any other software like that. And then that's just the basic of it. It actually creates a very convincing looking Ghibli style grass. And the background is nothing more than just a blue color to give the entire scene that look. I also added some turbulence and some wind to just like sort of simulate the grass movement. Let me just show you. If I move this around, it'll actually create these grass movements. It's a basic wind, blender wind, but it's a bit heavy in the performance, so I can't really show it to you smoothly. But if you render out an animation, it will look really nice. So that's basically the entire breakdown of the scene. It's nothing complicated. It's pretty simple, and I think anyone can do it, just about anyone, even if you are a beginner. Now let's just go to the tree scene. So here's the tree scene. And if I switch to rendered, and you should be able to see the way this works. Here we go. So as you can see, this is the tree that I created. It's also completely dynamic, and it uses a similar shading technique, the color ramp and stuff, but it uses a constant value to sort of differentiate between the darker areas and lighter areas. If you see it from afar, it's pretty darn convincing. And here's the image that I used to get these colors from. This is the reference image. I used these colors, just dragged and dropped them, then adjusted them to make it look like this. But another important thing to achieve this kind of look is custom normals. You can't get this kind of look just by using any random material, random objects, you kind of have to do this to get something like this. As you can see, this looks a bit weird, and as you can tell, this is not your regular normal. This is a technique called custom normals, and you can find out more about it on the internet or the YouTube. Basically uses the data transfer mesh and takes the normal values from a smoothed out normal, stuff like that. Also uses auto smoothing. Here we go. To create that effect. As you can see, this looks nothing. Just added more. This is what it looks like. Also adjust the values a little bit. But honestly, that really doesn't matter in my case. It's what it looks like. It also uses some particles instancer modifier to stack on top of each other, which creates this effect. And for the rounded edges, I used a decimate modifier to just get these edges look a bit more sharp. As you can see, here's a decimate modifier. And that's pretty much the entire setup. And then for the shader, of course, for the shader, it's pretty simple. As you can see, it's a very basic diffuse BSDF shader to RGB and color ramp, and uses a constant value to just create those crevices and other stuff. So just slide them in between. See, create some more effects stuff. I think this looks a little bit more convincing. You can of course add more stuff here to there. Let's see, we can just add in here a little bit, and let me just do this to get a bit of yellowish vibe here. Do this just to add in more light areas. So yeah, that's pretty much the it. And you can of course duplicate them. I added them into a collection, so that's pretty easy to just right click, shift, and add a collection of a foliage. Just grab it, just duplicate them, rotate them around, do whatever the hell you want. Just do this to make some more convincing looking trees. This will be easier for you to do. So yeah, that's pretty much the it for it. That's how the entire tree and the cloud scene works. So if you want this, you can download it from my Patreon, or you can just follow along this tutorial. Or if it's, I don't really know if it's a tutorial, but you get the basic idea. You can just look into YouTube, find more videos about it. But this was the most basic approach of getting towards this point that I could find, since I'm really not a professional or anything. I'm basically a beginner, just knows a few tricks along his sleeves. So yeah, that's all. If you want the project files, they'll be available in my Patreon. You can support the channel from there. And well, thanks for watching. See ya.